Virginia Department of Transportation, or VDOT, announced today that Tuesday, July 21st, is when 18 rest areas will close. In the central Shenandoah Valley, 3 rest areas will close on July 21st. They are I-81 North, Mount Sidney, I-81 South, Mount Sidney, and I-81 South, Newmarket. A rest area on I-66 will close in September. That will leave 23 rest areas open in the state. And joining us now to discuss the rest areas closings is Sandy Myers with the VDOT's Stanton District Office. Sandy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Bob.
Now, I understand the message signs are already up at some or all of the rest areas announcing the closing?
This is correct. The message boards went up today. They're variable message boards, and they indicate that the rest areas will be closing on July 21st.
Now, you see those when you go into the rest area, or you see them from the interstate?
You actually see them from the interstate.
Okay, so people will have a couple weeks to be forewarned.
This is correct.
Now, the area around here will have some that are staying open. I-81 southbound, we mentioned, was closing, but I-81 northbound in Newmarket, both I-81 southbound and Newmarket will be closing, but northbound will be open, and also Fairfield I-81 southbound will be open. So there will be some around here still open.
Right, and that's a change from the plan that we had announced in February. We certainly got a lot of feedback from the public. And although we'd like to keep them all open, we do have to close some, but we were able to make our decisions and effectively have those 2 stay open.
Now, tell us about the arrangements being made for truckers, because if you're closing 19 rest areas, all those parking spaces are being lost too, but there is an adjustment being made at some of the existing rest areas to compensate?
That's correct. We're reconfiguring the parking at the rest areas that will remain open. And what we're doing is taking down the no parking signs, and we're also removing the 2-hour parking limit there. So this should allow extra parking at these rest areas for truckers.
Now, we have a graphic that shows one of these areas that's been reconfigured, or will be reconfigured. And why don't you tell us what we're looking at here, Sandy?
This is the northbound Newmarket rest area, and where you see the blue and the red on there, that indicates where there was no legal parking before, but that will be legal parking now for trucks.
So those signs will be taken down, and there will be restriping, I guess, done to allow parking in those spots?
Right, those will be parking areas.
And I counted them, that's 25 at that location, and I guess this is going to happen at a lot of locations around the state to compensate for the, what, 200-plus truck parking spaces
we
that are
will
being lost?
recapture, yes, we will recapture 225 parking spots.
Wow, okay. Have you gotten, I know there's been a lot of publicity about this, have you gotten any reaction recently from the driving public? Or you think maybe you'll hear more now that people are finally seeing there's the drop-dead date? And
I think people were holding out hope that maybe something would happen and we wouldn't go forward with this. Unfortunately, we do have to do this. We have a $2.6 billion shortfall. What will happen at the rest areas is we'll close them down with barrels and cones initially. We will go in then and remove fixtures in there, close down the plumbing, close down the electrical, and then the rest areas will be boarded up, and then some metal barricades will be put up. There will be no mowing, no maintenance of the parking lot, and basically we will not be going in there to do any maintenance. We are hoping that on the federal side there will be a change in the regulations that will allow us to privatize these rest areas, which would allow businesses to come in and operate. They would have an opportunity to make some money, and certainly the state would be able to create revenues from that money. But until the federal rule is changed, we cannot do that. So the future of these locations does remain in question. If they do stay closed for a long period of time, we are looking at raising these buildings.
Wow. Okay. Sandy Myers, we'll see what happens over the coming months and years on the rest area issue. I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bob.
And now let's send it back to Mel in Stanton.